Hi friends, good morning. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy, Director, Shankaran IAS Study Circle. Today in this particular video, we will discuss about one important chapter in Andhra Pradesh Socio-Economic Survey. Remember, this could come even in the general essay paper for 50 marks. So this particular chapter in the Andhra Pradesh Socio-Economic Survey had the potential to appear even in the general essay paper. And the topic is Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals. See, what are Sustainable Development Goals? All this we have discussed in the earlier video. And then as a continuation for that, the concept of Millennium Development Goals, the concept of Sustainable Development Goals, and what is being done at the national level with respect to SDGs, etc. we have discussed in the earlier video. And then in the context of the state of Andhra Pradesh, there is one chapter in the Andhra Pradesh Socio-Economic Survey, and that we will discuss in detail. So there could be a question for a 10 marker in Andhra Pradesh economy, or there could be a separate question in the general essay paper on Sustainable Development Goals. And the chapter which is mentioned in the economic survey is something like this: Sustainable Development Goals, Adoption and Achievement in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Remember, though there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, not all the goals are relevant to the context of the state of Andhra Pradesh. For example, if you take the goals 12 to 17, Sustainable Development Goals from 12 to 17, Sustainable Development Goals from 12 to 17, they are not specific to the context of the state of Andhra Pradesh, right? So, with respect to Sustainable Development Goals, what are the achievements in the state of Andhra Pradesh? What is done? What are the several initiatives? What are the different government schemes which are being implemented in the state of Andhra Pradesh for realizing some of the Sustainable Development Goals, if not every goal? And if you see very briefly the background for Sustainable Development Goals, earlier we had the concept of Millennium Development Goals. Millennium Development Goals. So from 2010 to 2015, so in the time period between 2000 and 2015, the countries across the globe had set up certain developmental goals to be achieved by all the countries known by the name Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. So by then the Millennium Development Goals were 18 number, and these Millennium Development Goals, they ended in the year 2015, 2000 to 2015. And some of the goals under MDGs were not met, and so the agenda under the Millennium Development Goals is left unfinished. So to finish the agenda which was left unfinished under the Millennium Development Goals, so United Nations Organization again in the year 2015 came up with the concept of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So 17 such goals are identified with 169 targets. And these Sustainable Development Goals were targeted to be achieved by the year 2030. Were targeted to be achieved by the year 2030. Then, in other words, Sustainable Development Goals were an extension of Millennium Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals will try to achieve what is not achieved under the Millennium Development Goals, and these achievements have to be by the year 2030, that is 15-year period, 2015 to 2030. Then, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, though some of the Sustainable Development Goals are not very specific to the state of Andhra Pradesh, the state of Andhra Pradesh has adopted all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The state of Andhra Pradesh has adopted all the 17 sustainable development goals. But I told that the total number of targets are 169, but the state of Andhra Pradesh has taken up only 121 targets relevant to the state of Andhra Pradesh to be monitored and to be implemented. So Andhra Pradesh has adopted all the 17 sustainable development goals, but not all the 169 targets. Only 121 targets were chosen. Then at the national level, we have something called National Indicator Framework. National Indicator Framework, and to monitor the progress with respect to the achievement of sustainable development goals at the level of India, we have something called a National Indicator Framework. Under this National Indicator Framework, 212 indicators were identified, like infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, total fertility rate, gross enrollment ratio, etc. So the state of Andhra Pradesh has also adopted 212 indicators to monitor the progress with respect to achievement of sustainable development goals. In addition to this, see, the achievement of sustainable development goals depends on the successful implementation of the policies, schemes and programs taken up by the respective governments, either the union government or the state government. Andhra Pradesh had also put in place a monitoring mechanism to monitor the implementation of sustainable development goals, and in case if there are any problems, mid-course corrections can be done on the basis of this monitoring and evaluation. And in addition to this, after the present government came to power in the state of Andhra Pradesh under the chief ministership of Mr. Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, the government came up with an important scheme called Navaratnalu. 9 schemes, 9 most important schemes. And the current state government made an effort to align, to direct and integrate all the 9 schemes under Navaratnalu with sustainable development goals. The 9 themes under Navaratnalu, they were aligned. They were given a direction in a way to achieve the sustainable development goals. So there is a kind of integration of the themes under Navaratnalu and also the need for achieving the sustainable development goals. Even the schemes of the government of India were also aligned with the Navaratnalu scheme. And let us very briefly see the 9 schemes under Navaratnalu. We will discuss every scheme in detail in course of time in other topics, but here a passing reference to all the 9 schemes under Navaratnalu, we will just make a mention which are being integrated with the goal of achievement of sustainable development goals. So the 9 major schemes under Navaratnalu, the first one, Raitu Bharosa. Raitu Bharosa, PM Kisan scheme. So this is meant for the welfare of the farmers by giving investment support, to the farmers so that the farmers can buy agricultural inputs like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. So Raitu Bharosa is one scheme under Navaratnalu. Then the second one, Jalayagnam. So money being spent on irrigation projects to expand the irrigation facilities as well as the water for drinking water needs. So Jalayagnam is one more important scheme under Navaratnalu. Then the third one, Amma Odi. It is a scheme related to education. So for the mother or the guardian of the child studying from class 1 to class 12, the government gives a cash incentive of rupees 15,000 per annum per mother to encourage the mothers to enroll their kids in the schools and to maintain an attendance of not less than 75% to get this incentive. So this Amma Odi scheme helps in increasing the gross enrollment ratio from class 1 to 12. It will also help in reducing the dropouts, increasing the retention. And this is related to elementary education from class 1 to 8 and a secondary education from 9 to 12, Ammavadi scheme. Then in addition, we have Vidya Divana, Vasati Divana. Vidya Divana, Vasati Divana. So Vidya Divana for higher education, that is undergraduate and postgraduate courses, if the students from the BPL category get enrolled in the private higher educational institutions, the government will reimburse the fee which they have to pay in these private higher educational institutions. In addition to this, to meet the expenses of the students for boarding, lodging and food, Vasati Divana will also provide, Vidya Divana, Vasati Divana will also provide financial assistance to the states. So in other words, Vidya Divana for fee reimbursement, Vasati Divana for taking care of the boarding, lodging and food charges of these students. Both they relate to higher education. Vidya Divana, Vasati Divana is one more important scheme under Navaratnalu. Then the next one, YSR, Dr. YSR Arogya Shri. Dr. YSR Arogya Shri scheme, it aims at making healthcare facilities accessible to all the people in the state, especially the below poverty line category. So Dr. YSR Arogya Shri tries to help in achieving universal health coverage. Universal health coverage, it says ensuring accountable, affordable and appropriate healthcare services of assured quality to every citizen of this country, with the government being the guarantor and enabler, not the sole provider. So affordable means within the reach of the common man. Accountable means there shall be penalty and reward for a good and bad done on the part of the healthcare professionals. Affordable, accountable and appropriate. Appropriate means relevant to the health profile of the people of the state of Andhra Pradesh. So it is not necessary that the government alone has to provide the service. If required, the government can also rope in the private sector, but the ultimate responsibility for ensuring access to healthcare facilities lies with the government. The government can provide wherever the government can't provide, the private sector can be roped in, but the ultimate responsibility will be for the government. That is the definition given by K. Srinath Reddy Committee for universal health coverage. Ensuring affordable, accountable and appropriate healthcare services of assured quality to all the citizens of the country, wherever they are located, to whatever social group they belong to whatever religion they belong to whatever gender they belong to, with the government being the guarantor and enabler, not necessarily the sole provider. So Dr. YSR Arogya Shri scheme helps in achieving universal health coverage in the state of Andhra Pradesh. That is one more scheme under Navaratnalu. Then we have Housing for All, Pedalandariki Illu, Housing for All scheme. This is one more scheme under Navaratnalu. Then the next one, Pensionla Pempu, increase in the amount of pension to a number of disadvantaged social groups, resulting in enhanced social protection. So Pensionla Pempu is one more scheme under Navaratnalu. And then Cheyuta. So for the marginalized community, the government will reach out. Outreach of the government to the marginalized community in a number of ways, like the financial assistance for them to get gainful employment, and also Asara, Dr. YSR Cheyuta, Dr. YSR Asara. Asara means it deals with empowerment of women. So these two, YSR Cheyuta and YSR Asara together, is one more important scheme under Navaratnalu. Let's continue with our discussion on sustainable development goals in the state of Andhra Pradesh. See, we were discussing about the schemes under Navaratnalu, and the last one, it is a ban on alcohol, prohibition of liquor consumption. So these are the 9 schemes under Navaratnalu which are aligned with the sustainable development goals. Then let's take up each sustainable development goal, what it aims to achieve, and what are the different initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving that particular sustainable development goal. So let's begin with the first goal. Ending poverty. Sustainable development goal number 1 deals with ending poverty in all its forms and everywhere. Ending poverty in all its forms and everywhere. Then what are the initiatives taken? So under this sustainable development goal number 1, to end poverty, Government of Andhra Pradesh took measures for enhanced social protection, gainful employment like Manrega, and then provision of basic amenities. So the key schemes which are being implemented for achieving SDG 1, Sustainable Development Goal number 1, include the first one, YSR Pension Kanuka. YSR Pension Kanuka. Under this, the amount of money which is given as pension was enhanced. So for the patients with kidney disease who are under dialysis, they are given rupees 10,000 per month. And then the disabled, they are given rupees 3,000 per month. And the remaining categories, they are given 2,250 rupees per month. 2,250 rupees per person per month. And the Chief Minister said that this will be further enhanced in course of time. And then even the age of eligibility for pension, was reduced from 65 to 60 years. And because of this, the total number of beneficiaries under YSR Pension Kanuka, it is 58.22 lakh. 58.22 lakh beneficiaries. And as a result, on an average, every month, government is spending 1,421.22 crores for Pension Kanuka. 1,421.22 crores. So if you take the financial year 2019-20, the budgetary allocation for YSR Pension Kanuka, it is 15,747 scheme. It is 15,747 crores. So the money which the government gives under YSR Pension Kanuka for different vulnerable and disadvantaged citizens will greatly help them to deal with their day-to-day necessities and thereby helping them to reduce their poverty. Then similarly, if you compare the budgetary allocations for pensions in the year 2017-18, for the entire year it was just 4,312 crores. But now the present government has massively increased it from 4,312 crores in 2017-18 to 15,747 crores in 2019-20. And then, if you want to end poverty, the citizens of the state and the country must get gainful employment so that there is income in their hands to deal with their basic needs. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program is being implemented to create wage employment. And in addition to this, to reduce the financial burden on the BPL families for getting constructed houses for them, government has come up with a Housing for All, Pedalandaraki Illu scheme. Housing for all, especially the below poverty line category, Pedalandaraki Illu. It was expected that in the next 4 years, 24 lakh houses will be built and given to the people below the poverty line. So these are the 3 schemes: YSR Pension Kanuka, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, and Housing for All. These are the 3 key initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving the first sustainable development goal, that is ending poverty in all its forms everywhere. Then next move to the second sustainable development goal, SDG 2, Sustainable goal number 2. Sustainable goal number 2 deals with ending hunger, achieving food security, improving nutrition, and promoting sustainable agriculture. Ending hunger, achieving food security, improving nutrition, and promoting sustainable agriculture. See, way back in 2011, there was one report released by Manmohan Singh, which is called Hungama report. Hungama. This was in 2011 by an NGO called Nandi Foundation. So, Sustainable Development Goal number 2 deals with ending hunger, achieving food security, improving the nutrition, and ensuring sustainable agriculture. Ensuring sustainable agriculture. See, if you see the status of India with respect to malnutrition, we are not doing well. So long back in 2011, there was one NGO by name Nandi Foundation. Nandi Foundation. It has prepared a report called Hungama report 2011. So Nandi Foundation, which is a non-governmental organization, has prepared a report on the status of hunger and malnutrition in India. So this was done in 2011. This report was released by the then Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh. While releasing the report, Dr. Manmohan Singh says the levels of malnutrition in India is worse compared even to the poorest countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So the poorest countries in sub-Saharan Africa are better than India in terms of nutrition. And the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister says it was a national shame. It was a national shame. And even the recent National Family Health Survey 4, National Family Health Survey 4 report of 2015-16, National Family Health Survey 2015-16 also says in India the level of malnutrition, stunting, underweight, wasting, so especially among the children, adolescent girls, is quite high. Remember, to address the problem of malnutrition, way back in 1975, we had launched a scheme known by the name ICDS, Integrated Child Development Services Scheme. Under ICDS, we had a network of Anganwadi centers to address the nutritional issue among the children, adolescent girls, pregnant and lactating mothers. So despite implementing the ICDS for almost 45 years, we were not able to make a frontal attack on the problem of malnutrition in this country. The reason for this is this ICDS program, it was not implemented in a universal, it is not universal in the sense, it is not taken up for implementation throughout the length and breadth of the country. Probably the reason is underfunding. And even the scheme is not funded adequately. Because of this reason, despite having a scheme for addressing malnutrition for almost more than 45 years, we were not able to make any meaningful impact on the problem of malnutrition. So malnutrition continues to be a big issue, and this needs to be met. Malnutrition needs to be addressed for improving nutrition and thereby achieving SDG 3, Sustainable Goal number 3. Even the Socio-Economic Survey of Andhra Pradesh also says that in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the stunting among the children is to the extent of 39%. And the number of children who were stunted in the absolute numbers of the children who were stunted, it remains high. That's what the survey says. Then what are the initiatives taken for addressing malnutrition? So we had a scheme called Midday Meal Program. Midday Meal Program. So this Midday Meal Program, it started way back in 1999-2000 under the name National Program of Nutrition Support to Primary Education. So that today's midday meal program started way back in 2000 in the name of National Support, Nutrition Support to Primary Education. So initially the midday meal program was implemented at the level of primary education, but now it is being implemented at the level of elementary education. So class 1 to 8 for the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. And this midday meal program had a significant impact. Because of the implementation of the cooked midday meal program at the elementary level, we were able to increase the enrollment at the elementary level, we were able to reduce the dropouts, increase the retention, and we were also able to address the classroom hunger. And in addition, the nutritional status of the students at the elementary level also improved. So midday meal scheme is making an impact on the nutritional aspects of the students in the elementary education, at the level of elementary education. So because of the favorable impact of this particular scheme, a committee appointed by the Government of India for drafting a national policy, a new national policy on education, headed by TSR Subramaniam, this committee has recommended extending the midday meal program even to the secondary education. So TSR Subramaniam committee recommended the students in the 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th and 12th standard must also be covered under the midday meal program, because especially at the secondary level, the dropout rates are very high and the enrollment is coming down. So if you want to improve the gross enrollment ratio at the secondary level to reach the level of universalization, if you want to reduce the dropouts, increase the retention and address the classroom hunger, it makes an abundant sense to extend the midday meal program to the secondary education as well. That was a recommendation made by TSR Subramaniam committee. So the governments are yet to take a call on this one. Then in addition to this, this is followed by Jagananna Goru Muddalu. Jagananna Goru Muddalu. This is nothing but providing a nutritious meal under the midday meal program, more nutritious diet under the midday meal program. And because of this midday meal program with Jagananna Goru Muddalu, 36.1 lakh children are going to get benefited. Because of this midday meal program and the Jagananna Goru Muddalu, 36.10 lakh children are going to get benefited. Then the public distribution system in the state of Andhra Pradesh, it is being revamped. The present government in the state of Andhra Pradesh came up with a system of village and ward volunteers. So through these village and ward volunteers, the government wants to supply the subsidized food grains under PDS to the doorstep of the eligible beneficiaries. That's one important change which was done in the recent past. This is relating to addressing the problem of nutrition, malnutrition, and also addressing the problem of achieving food security and ending hunger. Then when it comes to sustainable agriculture, we had a scheme under implementation in the state of Andhra Pradesh known by the name YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan scheme. PM Kisan is the scheme of Government of India. YSR Raitu Bharosa is the scheme of state government. So together it is called YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan scheme. Under this scheme, each farm household, per annum, each farm household is given an investment support to buy the inputs like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides to the extent of 13,500 rupees. 13,500 rupees. And remember, out of this money, 6,000 rupees it is coming from Government of India, central government. So including the money given by the center, the total support which a farm household gets per year is 13,500 rupees. And in the state of Andhra Pradesh, a total number of 46.69 lakh farming families, they got benefited under YSR Raitu Bharosa scheme. So the total money which is spent in 2019-20 under YSR Raitu Bharosa is 6,534 crores. 6,534 crores. This includes 2,760 crores from the central government. In addition to this, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, for promoting sustainable agriculture, the government of Andhra Pradesh came up with an idea called zero budget natural farming. Zero budget natural farming, which is ecologically sustainable. And to promote zero budget natural farming, government of Andhra Pradesh had set up a state-owned non-profit organization known by the name Raitu Sadhikara Samastha. Raitu Sadhikara Samastha. So far in the last two years, 1,50,000 acres is brought under zero budget natural farming. And it was said that by implementing zero budget natural farming, with the 169 targets under the 17 sustainable development goals, one quarter of the 169 targets can be met by implementing zero budget natural farming. So that's it about the measures taken in the state of Andhra Pradesh for achieving sustainable development goal number 2. To make a quick review, one scheme, cooked midday meal program, along with Jagananna Goru Muddalu, then revamped public distribution system, where there is a door delivery of subsidized food grains through the village and ward volunteers, YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan scheme, then zero budget natural farming. And in addition, at the level of Government of India, the schemes which are under implementation for achieving this SDG 2 include, we had a mission known as National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. So to take care of sustainable agriculture in 2007-8, Government of India came up with an action plan for climate change called National Action Plan on Climate Change. National Action Plan on Climate Change. So this had a number of missions. One mission deals with sustainable agriculture. National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. So this National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture includes developing new crop varieties which are drought resistant and flood resistant. Because in the event of climate change and global warming, there is a greater frequency of droughts as well as floods. So the crop varieties which are resistant to floods and droughts will be developed under this National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. In addition to this, under the National Mission, under the National Action Plan on Climate Change, we had one more mission on water. So this mission on water focuses on increasing the water use efficiency. So per drop, more crop. So that also goes a long way in ensuring sustainable agriculture. In addition to this, the other schemes which are meant for addressing hunger and achieving food security include the PDS system, public distribution system, ICDS, Integrated Child Development Services Scheme, implemented at the national level, and even Poshan Abhiyan. Poshan Abhiyan is one more scheme which is being taken up at the level of Government of India. So these are the schemes which are under implementation at the level of Government of India for achieving SDG 2, Sustainable Development Goal number 2. Then let's move to SDG 3. SDG 3, Sustainable Development Goal number 3. Sustainable Development Goal number 3 deals with healthy lives for all and well-being at all ages. Healthy lives for all and well-being at all ages. That is SDG 3. Then what are the focus areas in the state of Andhra Pradesh with respect to Sustainable Development Goal number 3? See, maternal and child health, this is one focus area. Reducing the communicable and non-communicable diseases. Reducing the communicable and non-communicable diseases. Communicable diseases like TB. Non-communicable diseases like cardiovascular diseases, cancer, etc. And in addition to these, the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal number 3, also makes a focus on universal access to medicines and vaccines. Universal access to medicines and vaccines, and also minimizing substance addiction. Minimizing substance addiction. So addiction to alcohol, addiction to tobacco chewing, etc., etc. Then if you take some of the healthcare indicators and to see the performance of the state of Andhra Pradesh in relation to Government of India or the national level, infant mortality rate, what do you mean by infant mortality rate? For every 1,000 children who take birth, out of every 1,000 children within 1 year age, how many of them will die within 1 year? Out of every 1,000 children who take birth, how many of them will not survive by their first birthday? That is infant mortality rate. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, it is 29 per 1,000. But if you take all India average, it is 32. So Andhra Pradesh is better than all India. Then if you take the maternal mortality rate, that is the number of pregnant mothers who die out of every 1 lakh deliveries, it is called maternal mortality rate. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, maternal mortality rate is 74. But if you take the all India average, it is 122. So here again, the state of Andhra Pradesh is doing better than all India average. Then when it comes to institutional deliveries, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, 99% of the deliveries, they are institutional. What do you mean by institutional deliveries? The deliveries which happen in a hospital rather than at home. What are the advantages? If the delivery happens in a hospital, if there are any complications, the doctor and the paramedical staff will intervene, thereby saving the life of the mother and the kid. So this increasing the institutional deliveries helps in reducing the maternal mortality rate as well as infant mortality rate. So in the state of Andhra Pradesh, out of every 100 deliveries, 99% are institutional, and that is very good. Then if you take immunization, the children who are in the age group of 1 to 5 years, there are certain diseases which can be prevented through vaccines. So out of every 100 children in the age group of 1 to 5 years, how many of them were actually getting access to vaccines? That is immunization coverage. It is 94% in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is again quite impressive. Then what are the schemes taken up by Government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving the Sustainable Development Goal number 3? The most important scheme, Dr. YSR Arogya Shri, and also Dr. YSR Arogya Asara. See, Dr. YSR Arogya Shri, it is a community health insurance scheme and it is a cashless. So for around 2079 procedures, you can get into even a corporate hospital, get treated, come out of the corporate hospital even without spending a single rupee. So the government provides an insurance of rupees 5 lakhs per annum per family. So Dr. YSR Arogya Shri, it is an attempt at achieving universal health coverage. And because of this Dr. YSR Arogya Shri scheme, it is expected that 1.44 crore BPL families will get benefited. And this Dr. YSR Arogya Shri scheme is being implemented in the 3 cities even outside the state of Andhra Pradesh. Bengaluru in Karnataka, Chennai in Tamil Nadu, Hyderabad in Telangana state. So from these 3 cities, hospitals are also empaneled because the population of BPL in the border districts, to get a benefit for these people, the hospitals from these 3 cities, which are outside the state of Andhra Pradesh, so the hospitals from these 3 cities were also empaneled. And then Dr. YSR Arogya Asara, under this one, the persons who are below the poverty line, if they undergo surgery, they have to stay back at home and they can't attend the work. If they can't attend the work, they will be losing wages and there will be a problem, financial burden. So the government of Andhra Pradesh says for a post-operative people who are under recovery after surgery or operation, they are given an allowance, post-operative sustenance allowance. Post-operative sustenance allowance under Dr. YSR Arogya Ashra, it is 225 rupees per day or a maximum of rupees 5,000 per month. So this is one more benefit which is being passed on. Then in addition to this, in general the public health infrastructure is not in a good shape. So to improve the public health infrastructure, Government of Andhra Pradesh came up with something called Nadu Nedu program. So under this Nadu Nedu program, in the next coming 3 years, government is willing to spend 12,000 to 13,000 crores to improve the infrastructure in the primary health centers, community health centers, district hospitals, and even the teaching hospitals. And even in the recent past, more than 9,700 healthcare professionals were taken up for recruitment. And liquor consumption is one issue which will have an impact on the health of the people of the state. So the present government, to discourage the consumption of liquor, has come up with something called prohibition of liquor in 3 phases. So as part of this, Government of Andhra Pradesh had set up Andhra Pradesh State Beverages Corporation Limited, which took up the retail trade of liquor business, and the number of shops, the liquor shops, they were reduced from 4,380 to 2,934, and in addition to this, the rate of liquor was increased so that the consumption will come down. In addition to this, the timing for the shops to be opened was also reduced. So because of all these initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh, the consumption of liquor in the state of Andhra Pradesh has greatly come down, thereby improving the health of the people. So that's about what is being done in the state of Andhra Pradesh for achieving the SDG 3, Sustainable Development Goal number 3, healthy lives for all and well-being at all ages. But if you compare what is being done at the state of Andhra Pradesh with what is being done at the level of nation, so there are 3 important schemes which are being taken up by Government of India. One, Janani Suraksha Yojana. Under Janani Suraksha Yojana, launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, if a pregnant lady undergoes institutional delivery, she will be given cash incentive. So because of this cash incentive, the institutional deliveries have increased, and proportionately the maternal and infant mortality rates have come down. And there is one more scheme, Janani Shishu Suraksha Karyakramam, again by the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under this, all the facilities, that is cesarean section, C-section surgery, diet, transportation, medicines, diagnostic facilities, blood transfusion, all are made available free of cost at the time of delivery in the government hospital through JSSK, Janani Shishu Suraksha Karyakramam. And again we have something called Pradhana Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So the poor pregnant and lactating mothers after delivery, because of poverty, they may be compelled to attend to work. So if they attend to work, they will not get time for themselves, for the kids to get recovered. So Government of India says, stay back at home, take care of yourself, take care of your kid. If you don't go for work, you will be losing wages, we will compensate the wage. But this is conditional. So the government will provide money for the pregnant and lactating mothers under Pradhana Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana as a measure of wage compensation, provided there are conditions. Pregnancy is registered, periodical health checkups are made, and the pregnant lady has to visit the nearby Anganwadi center or the primary health care center. The child shall be immunized. So by doing all this, the lady will be made eligible for getting conditional cash transfer as a measure of wage compensation. So these are 3 important schemes apart from Poshan Abhiyan and ICDS at the level of Government of India for achieving SDG 3, healthy lives for all and well-being at all ages. That's about SDG 3. Then the next one, Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Then what is the Sustainable Development Goal number 4? Sustainable Development Goal number 4, it deals with education, inclusive and quality education. Inclusive in the sense, nobody shall be left out. Even the poorest in the remote part of the country must have access to quality education. So in the modern era of knowledge economy, if any citizen of this country has to get gainful employment, and if he has to create wealth for himself and for the nation, in the first place he must be healthy. In the second place, he must have access to quality education, and in the third place, he must have the right kind of skills. So Sustainable Development Goal number 3, it focuses on inclusive and quality education, inclusive and equitable quality education, and it also focuses on lifelong learning opportunities for all. So if you compare Andhra Pradesh performance in terms of health and education, in terms of health, the performance of the state of Andhra Pradesh is better than all India average. But when it comes to education, the performance of all India is better than Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is worse compared to all India performance. For example, if you take the literacy rate, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the literacy rate is 67.35%. But if you compare the all India average, it is 72.98%. So all India performance is better than performance of the state of Andhra Pradesh. Then the gross enrollment ratio in the state of Andhra Pradesh at the level of primary education, 85.59%, at the level of upper primary education, 83.93%. What is primary education? Class 1 to 5. What is upper primary education? Class 6 to 8. And what is elementary? Combining the primary education and the upper primary education is elementary, class 1 to 8. And what is secondary education? Class 9 to 12. And what is junior secondary? Class 9 and 10. Then what is senior secondary education? Class 11 and 12. Then what are the schemes which are being implemented in the state of Andhra Pradesh for achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 4? This is the first important scheme, Jagananna Amma Odi. Jagananna Amma Odi. So the mother or the guardian of the student from class 1 to 12, if he attends the school, government school or school aided by government, then the mother or the guardian will be given 15,000 rupees per annum. 15,000 rupees per annum. And so far, Government of Andhra Pradesh had spent something like 6,336.45 crores. Here the scheme is conditional. So a student who had an attendance of 75% will be eligible for this Amma Odi scheme, 15,000 rupees per annum per mother. So possible advantages of this scheme is increasing the enrollment. See, in India, according to TSR Subramaniam Committee, there are 1 lakh schools which are on the verge of closure. There are 1 lakh schools which are on the verge of closure at all India level. The reason is, though the classroom is available, though the teachers are available, the students are not coming because of poor infrastructure in the school and poor quality of education. Unlike in India, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, because of Amma Odi scheme, the enrollment in the government schools increased a lot. Earlier, we had migration of the students from government to private schools, but because of Amma Odi, there is a reverse migration of students from private schools to government schools. So Amma Odi scheme can increase enrollment from class 1 to 12, and Amma Odi along with midday meal scheme will increase enrollment, reduce dropouts, increase retention, and also will address the classroom hunger. So that's the impact of Amma Odi scheme. Then one more important scheme taken up by the present government is Manabadi Nadu Nedu. So I told that according to TSR Subramanian Committee, 1 lakh schools are on the verge of closure because of no students available, and the students are not available because the infrastructure quality is very poor. See, many a times the girl children, they drop out from the schools because there are no separate toilets for boys and girls in usable condition with running water available. So to improve the infrastructure in the schools, the present government has come up with this scheme, Manabadi Nadu Nedu. So 9 infrastructure components like the boundary wall, like painting, electricity, drinking water, etc. they are made available through Nadu Nedu program by spending a lot of money. So, for example, in 2019-20, the government has a plan to spend 1500 crores for improving the infrastructure in the schools in around 15,715 schools. In around 15,715 schools. And the other schools will be completed in a phased manner. Then, to help the students from the poorer backgrounds to get gainful employment in course of time, Government of Andhra Pradesh also had introduced English medium education from class 1 to 6. And this became a controversy because the Right to Education Act 2009, Kasturi Rangan Committee and even TSR Subramanian Committee, they say that the medium of instruction at the elementary level shall be in the mother tongue as far as practicable. But Government of Andhra Pradesh chose English as the medium of instruction to benefit the children of the disadvantaged social groups to take a benefit in course of time to get gainful employment. The matter also went to the High Court of Andhra Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh High Court has declared that it is invalid to force English medium education in the government schools without giving a choice. So the present government, it has made English medium compulsory in the government schools from class 1 to 6. The matter went to the Supreme Court, and it has to be seen how the Supreme Court will respond on this particular issue. And then we had some more schemes. Jagananna Vidya Devana. Jagananna Vidya Devana, under this scheme, fee reimbursement. So the children from the disadvantaged social groups who are below poverty line, so if they want to get educated, that is, if they want to have access to higher education, the government will pay the fee. So Jagananna Vidya Devana, it is all about providing fee reimbursement for the children of disadvantaged social groups who are below poverty line for undergraduate and postgraduate education, including ITA and Polytechnic. In addition to this, to meet the hostel expenses and also food expenses, Government of Andhra Pradesh also came with a Jagananna Vidya Devana is one scheme. Jagananna Vasati Devana. Jagananna Vasati Devana, it is for meeting the food and hostel expenses. If the student belongs to ITA course, he will be given 10,000 per annum. If the student belongs to Polytechnic, he will be given 15,000 per annum. If he is a student of a degree, undergraduate and postgraduate, he will be given 20,000 rupees. He will be given 20,000 rupees. So that's it about the key schemes implemented by Government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving SDG 4, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is inclusive and equitable quality education, lifelong learning opportunities for all. So to make a quick review, what are the schemes being implemented? Amma Odi, Nadu Nedu, Jagananna Vidya Devana, Jagananna Vasati Devana. These are the schemes. Even Jagananna Kanti Velugu. So screening of the students for the problems of eye. In case if there are problems, free spectacles will be made available, and in addition, free cataract surgeries will also be performed. Jagananna Kanti Velugu. So that's it about SDG 4. The next one, Sustainable Development Goal number 5. Sustainable Development Goal number 5. So this is Sustainable Development Goal number 5. It is related to achieving gender equality and also empowerment of all women and girls. Mahatma Gandhi used to say that women account for 50% of the total population in India as well as across the globe. Like the men, the women were also endowed with the same level of intellect like the men. So if there are no equal opportunities for women, then that particular society will lose to the extent of 50%. So any society which does not treat women on par with men cannot realize the true potential of that society. So that's what Mahatma Gandhi said. So in that context, SDG 5, Sustainable Development Goal number 5, it speaks about achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. Excepting for tribal societies where the position of the woman is much better, all the historical societies, most of the historical societies, they are patriarchal. So the domination of men over women. So then what this SDG 5 says? It says the elimination of discrimination against women and girls everywhere. Ending discrimination against women and girls everywhere, in every sphere, political sphere, economic sphere, and social sphere. Then, if you see the literacy rate among the women, is less compared to the men, and the women literacy rate within the state of Andhra Pradesh is less than the women literacy rate at the all India level. So if you take the figures, the women literacy rate in the state of Andhra Pradesh, as per census 2011, it is 60%. But if you take the all India average, it is 65%. So in terms of women literacy rate, all India average is better than the women literacy rate in the state of Andhra Pradesh. We are not performing well. Then what are the key initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 5? The first one, YSR Asara. So YSR Asara, this is a scheme for empowerment of women. You know that to help the poor women to come out of poverty, we had something called SHG movement, self-help group movement. So the poor women, they form into associations called SHGs. They make savings. By leveraging savings, they get credit from the banking sector, from the non-banking financial companies. So with this loan, they make income generating activities, and through that income, they will try to come out of poverty and make an improvement in their standard of living. So under YSR Asara, the present government is trying to reimburse the entire bank loan. So the money which the SHGs have taken in the form of loan will be paid by the government in 4 installments in the academic year, in the financial year of 2020 and 21. And this amount is around 27,168 crores. 27,168 crores. So by this initiative, Government of Andhra Pradesh is greatly reducing the financial burden on the poor women. So this is one scheme, YSR Asara. Then we have YSR Cheyuta support. Under this YSR Cheyuta, the women in the age group of 45 to 60 years, from the communities like BC, SC, ST, minorities, they will be given a financial assistance of 75,000 rupees. So in the financial year 2020-21, through the respective financial corporations, if the woman is SC woman, through SC corporation, state SC corporation. If the woman is from minority community, the financial assistance will be through minority finance corporation. So through the respective finance corporations at the state level, a financial assistance of 75,000 will be made available for the women from BC, SC, ST and minority communities. So through this financial assistance, they can take up self-employment activities, thereby trying to come out of poverty. That is YSR Cheyuta. And there is one more scheme, YSR Kalyana Kanuka. YSR Kalyana Kanuka. Under this scheme, if it is a bride from the BC community, rupees 50,000 crores will be provided. If the bride is from SC, ST minority communities, if the bride is from SC, ST minority communities at the time of marriage, the government will give rupees 1 lakh. This is YSR Kalyana Kanuka. In addition to this, Andhra Pradesh state legislature has enacted a legislation under which works contracts, services contracts, works contracts and services contracts which are done on the basis of nomination, 50% of them will be reserved for women. And this was again one important initiative taken. The legislation is known by this name. Andhra Pradesh, 50% reservation to women in works contracts and services contracts given on nomination, Act 2019. So that is one more initiative taken. In addition to this, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, to protect the women and girl children from sexual offences, Disha Act was enacted, under which the maximum punishment goes up to death penalty. The trial and investigation will be completed within 21 days. And in addition to this, all the women police stations in the state of Andhra Pradesh, they are converted into Disha police stations. For the speedy trial of the offences against the women and the children, girl children, relating to sexual offences, special courts were established, special public prosecutors were appointed, forensic facilities were being expanded for the purpose of the women and girl children. And in addition to this, there is a Disha call center and Disha app as well. So these are some of the key initiatives taken by government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, that is achieving gender equality and empowerment of women and children. Empowerment of women and girl children. So the next one, SDG 6, Sustainable Goal number 6. Sustainable Goal number 6. It relates to sustainable management of water resources and sanitation for all. Sustainable management of water resources and sanitation for all. So, especially in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is a predominantly agrarian, irrigation plays an important role in the economic development of the state, and the 3/4 workforce is dependent on agriculture and allied sectors in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So a greater focus on irrigation is very important. And accordingly, Jalayagnam will take care of completing the ongoing irrigation projects, thereby providing irrigation water to the unirrigated areas, drinking water for drinking purposes, and making available water even for industrial needs. And the scheme is Jalayagnam. In addition to this, after the present government came to power in the state of Andhra Pradesh, for full utilization of the waters in Krishna and Godavari, the chief ministers from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they made a resolve to work together for the common benefit of the people of the two Telugu states. And this is being taken forward, and if that happens in an environment of cordiality and cooperation, the waters of both river Krishna and Godavari can be utilized to the fullest extent for the combined benefits of the people of both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and that is being worked out. And the socio-economic survey of state of Andhra Pradesh says, as of now in the state of Andhra Pradesh, 73% of the households, they had access to improved water sources. They had access to improved water sources. And then the government makes a target that by the year 2024, the government wants to achieve universal access. That means for every habitation, making water available in a stipulated quantity, safe water, that is drinking water, to every habitation by 2024. In addition to this, the government also speaks about water grid under which water supply to the rural, urban areas and industrial areas will be made possible, water grid. And this will be done through sustainable management of surface and groundwater resources. So by optimum utilization of groundwater resources and the surface water resources, the water needs of the rural areas, urban areas, industrial areas will be met. Then if you take, and it is expected that the water grid project will incur an expenditure of 46,675 crores by 2024. In fact, it is one of the massive projects which the government of Andhra Pradesh wants to undertake. Water grid, it will incur an expenditure of 46,675 crores by 2024. Then when it comes to solid waste management, that is sanitation for all, in 110 urban local bodies, the garbage which is collected is 2.01 lakh metric tons, out of which the waste which is being lifted is 1.99 lakh metric tons per month. So out of the total of 36.54 lakh households, the garbage is being collected, waste is being lifted from 35.81 lakh households, which means 98%. From 98% of the households, garbage is being collected and waste is being lifted, and this is good. This is good performance. That's it about SDG 6. Then let's move to SDG 7. Sustainable Development Goal number 7. Sustainable Development Goal number 7, it deals with access to affordable. Affordable means within the paying capacity of the common man. Reliable means without ups and downs, without breaks. Sustainable and modern energy. Sustainable and modern energy. See, here modern energy means, see, to provide 9 hours free power to agriculture and also to lift irrigation schemes, Government of Andhra Pradesh is incurring every year around 9,800 crores. Instead of that, government is planning to generate 10,000 megawatt of solar power to provide power to agriculture sector and the lift irrigation sector on permanent basis. So solar power is one modern energy. And for this purpose, Andhra Pradesh has established Green Energy Corporation Limited. Green Energy Corporation Limited will take up these solar projects to generate power to the extent of 10,000 megawatt, which shall be made available to the agriculture sector and also for lift irrigation schemes on permanent basis. In addition to this, Andhra Pradesh is one of the states which provides access to electricity to the entire population. 100% of the population now had access to electricity, and Andhra Pradesh is the third state to achieve this feat. Then, if you see the transmission losses in the state of Andhra Pradesh, it is just 3.02%. The transmission losses in the state of Andhra Pradesh, just 3.02%. This is very, very good performance compared to the national average of transmission losses to the extent of 22%. 22%. Transmission losses at the national level, 22%. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, just 3.02%. In addition to this, the present government is providing electricity, free electricity to the agriculture sector for 9 hours in a day. In addition to this, for the SC and ST communities, with respect to domestic consumption, up to 200 units per month, the electricity which is provided for domestic consumption is free under the scheme Jagjeevan Jyoti scheme. Jagjeevan Jyoti scheme. So under this scheme, 15.63 lakh SC households got benefited. 15.63 scheduled caste households got benefited, and 5.24 lakh ST households also got benefited. 5.24 lakh ST households also got benefited. In addition to this, to promote energy efficiency and also energy conservation, Andhra Pradesh government so far has distributed 2.32 crore LED bulbs, 3.23 energy efficient fans, 3.23 crore, then 1.48 crore tube lights, 1.48 crore tube lights. So that's it about the initiatives taken by Government of Andhra Pradesh with respect to Sustainable Development Goal number 7. So the next Sustainable Development Goal, Sustainable Development Goal number 8. Sustainable Development Goal number 8. So it relates to decent work and economic growth. Decent work and economic growth. See, after bifurcation in 2014, the successor state of Andhra Pradesh became predominantly agrarian because of losing of Hyderabad to the state of Telangana. So out of the total GSDP, agriculture contributed more than 30%. So in the state of Andhra Pradesh, 3/4, 75% of the workforce is dependent on agriculture and allied sectors. So if you want to promote economic growth and also decent work, this can be done apart from the secondary and services sector, the primary sector being the biggest employer, biggest employment generator. If you want to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, a greater focus on agriculture sector is very, very important, agriculture and allied sectors. And accordingly, the socio-economic survey of the state of Andhra Pradesh says, for achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 8, it says that a number of key initiatives were taken by Government of Andhra Pradesh for making agriculture profitable, like YSR Raitu Bharosa, YSR interest-free loans, YSR free crop insurance scheme, YSR Raitu Bharosa Kendralu, drilling of free bore wells. In addition to this, the socio-economic survey predominantly focuses on agriculture for achieving the Sustainable Development Goal number 8. So the economic survey also spoke about the establishment of a body called Andhra Pradesh State Agriculture Mission. Andhra Pradesh State Agriculture Mission. And this body is a policy making body and advisory body. So it focuses on giving advice on production, marketing and pricing of agricultural and horticultural commodities. So that's it about Sustainable Development Goal number 8 relating to decent work and economic growth. Here, the economic survey primarily focuses on agriculture sector, and we need to go beyond this for achieving SDG 8. So this dimension is not properly addressed in the economic survey. Then let's move to SDG 9. Sustainable Development Goal number 9. Sustainable Development Goal number 9, it speaks about building resilient infrastructure. So building resilient infrastructure, promoting industrialization. What kind of industrialization? Inclusive and sustainable. Inclusive in the sense everyone gets a share in this industrialization. Sustainable in the sense it is a more greener and eco-friendly. Then it also speaks about fostering innovation. Fostering innovation. See, as I told you, post bifurcation, the successor state of Andhra Pradesh became predominantly agrarian. This I have told you earlier many a time. So to support this argument, we have again data given in the economic survey. So the economic survey says if you see the share of industry, that is just before bifurcation, if you see for 2014-15 year, it was 25.5%. 25.5%. The share of industry, it was 25.5%. Then subsequently in 2019 and 20, it has come down to 21.81%. So it is because of the consequence of bifurcation, the share of industry declined from 25.5% to 21.81% in the state GSDP. And government of Andhra Pradesh and the socio-economic survey says the government will take all the measures to reverse and arrest this declining share of industry in the GSDP. And for this, the government of Andhra Pradesh is working on a new industrial policy which is going to come very soon. And in addition, we have two important industrial corridors passing through the state of Andhra Pradesh. Vizag-Chennai Industrial Corridor, it can facilitate economic development in the coastal areas. Chennai-Bangalore Industrial Corridor, it can facilitate economic development in the southeastern districts of the state of Andhra Pradesh. And the socio-economic survey also speaks about, for achieving sustainable development goal number 9, the government is also focusing upon MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. Remember, MSMEs are very important not only for output, even for employment generation. They are the biggest employment generators. So in the manufacturing sector, MSMEs account for an output of 40%. 40%. So to protect these micro, small and medium enterprises from becoming sick, Government of Andhra Pradesh came up with a scheme called Dr. YSR Navodayam scheme. Dr. YSR Navodayam scheme. Under this, one-time restructuring of loans taken by the MSMEs will be done. In addition to this, to create employment in the industrial sector, we need to promote skilling on a massive scale for the population of the state of Andhra Pradesh who are in the working age. And we also need to give skilling in such a way that the skill gaps which are there in the industrial sector must be analyzed before skilling is taken up. So those kinds of skills which are required in the industrial sector, they must be identified and accordingly skilling has to be done. For that, the socio-economic survey says Government of Andhra Pradesh is planning to set up a skills university in Tirupati and 25 world-class multi-skill centers, one each in parliamentary constituency. And these skill centers are known by the name YSR Multi-Skill Development Centers. YSR Multi-Skill Developments. So that's what the socio-economic survey speaks about, achieving sustainable development goal number 9. So as I said earlier, sustainable development goal number 9 deals with building resilient infrastructure and promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization and fostering innovation. So here the major focus areas are arresting and reversing the decline in the share of industry, for which a new policy is being drafted, and taking advantage of Chennai-Bangalore Industrial Corridor and also Vizag-Chennai Industrial Corridor for promoting economic development in the coastal areas as well as southeastern part of the state of Andhra Pradesh. In addition to this, reliance is also placed on strengthening the MSME sector, for which there was a new scheme initiated, Dr. YSR Navodayam scheme, under which one-time restructuring of loans is done. In addition to this, there is focus on skilling the requirements of the industrial sector by setting up of skills universities and also YSR multi-skill development centers at the rate of one each in parliamentary constituency. So that's it about the sustainable development goal number 8 and 9, SDG 10. Sustainable development goal number 10, it deals with reducing inequalities across the social groups and across the regions. So here, if you take, because of caste system in India, it is the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe people who are historically discriminated and who are at a disadvantage. So soon after India got independence, to deal with the discrimination against the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe people, two important legislations were enacted for both the SC and ST community. Civil Rights Act is one. The second one, SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Then subsequently in 2005-06, Government of India came up with one more legislation exclusively for undoing the historical injustices which are met to the tribal communities. This is Forest Rights Act 2006. Scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers, scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers, recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. So these were some of the initiatives taken by Government of India. In addition to this, to improve the infrastructure in the areas where the Dalits or the scheduled caste people are in larger concentration, Pradhana Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana, this was started. Pradhana Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana was started. In addition to this, a similar scheme for the minorities was also started, multi-sectoral development program. So in the areas where the minorities are in significant numbers, there for developing the socio-economic and social infrastructure, a scheme is being implemented. And with respect to tribals and Dalits, there is a subplan strategy being implemented. Tribal subplan approach, scheduled caste subplan approach, since a long time, since 1980s, 79, 80, 1917 and 80, tribal subplan, scheduled caste subplan. And what do you mean by this tribal subplan, scheduled caste subplan? So within the total budget, the allocations to the tribals and Dalits will be made in proportion to their population, in addition to what they get from the general schemes under implementation. So this approach is being followed. And the state of Andhra Pradesh has enacted a legislation to ensure non-divertibility of the funds which are meant for SCs and STs under the tribal subplan and the scheduled caste subplan. And this was, Andhra Pradesh is the only state to give legal backing to the tribal subplan and the scheduled caste subplan. And let us see what is there in the Andhra Pradesh Socio-Economic Survey with respect to achieving sustainable development goal number 10. What all I have discussed so far, it is at the context of the level of India. Then, so the Andhra Pradesh Socio-Economic Survey clearly says to achieve equality or to reduce inequality, it is necessary that the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe communities, if they are uplifted, if the upliftment of SCs and STs is taken up, then automatically we will be reducing the inequalities across the social groups. That's what the survey says. And for that, what is being done? A number of schemes are being implemented for the upliftment of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people. Schemes which are meant for giving scholarships, schemes which are meant for providing basic infrastructure, and even financial incentives are given to entrepreneurs from SC, ST, BC, OBC community. And then I told earlier the tribal subplan strategy and scheduled caste subplan strategy is being implemented in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which means out of the total budgetary allocations, the allocations to SCs and STs will be in proportion to their population, in addition to what they are receiving from the general schemes under implementation. In addition to this, skill development programs are also being taken up to help these communities who are disadvantaged to get gainful employment. For example, if you take the year 2018-19, the money which is spent for the disadvantaged social groups, it is just 5,479 crores. But if you see 2019-20, the money which is spent for the benefit of disadvantaged social groups is 14,088 crores. 14,088 crores. This money is spent for SC ST, BC and even the minorities. And the current government in the state of Andhra Pradesh had came up with a scheme called Jagananna Vidya Devana, under which 100% fee reimbursement, 100% fee reimbursement is provided to scheduled caste community, scheduled tribe community, BC community, minorities, Kapu, economically backward communities and even differently abled. So for all these categories of disadvantaged social groups, there is 100% fee reimbursement. SC, ST, BC, minority, Kapu, EBC and differently abled. In addition to this, the student who belongs to these communities, they are also given a maintenance support of rupees 20,000. This is under Jagananna Vasati Devana. So all these, they can help in reducing the inequalities across the social groups. And for this fee reimbursement in the year 2019-20, for these communities, a budget, an amount of rupees 4,960 crores is spent. Then reducing inequalities include not only reducing inequalities across the social groups, but also reducing the inequalities across men and women. So this we have earlier discussed under gender equality. Then here this is relevant even under SDG 10. So with respect to bridging gender inequality, that is for the upliftment of women, the current government of Andhra Pradesh had come up with schemes like YSR Asara for SHGs, for self-help groups. Loan reimbursement is taken up to the extent of 21,000 crores in 4 installments in the financial year 2020-21. In addition to that, the SHGs were given interest-free loans. In addition to this, YSR Cheyuta is one more scheme which is taken up as a measure of outreach to the minority community, as a measure of outreach to the disadvantaged communities. And even interest-free loans are given to them. And the most important, 50% reservation. See, to the SC, ST, BC minority communities, for the SC, ST, BC minority communities, in the nominated posts, 50% posts are reserved for these communities. 50% of the nominated posts are reserved for SC, ST, BC and minority communities. In addition to this, even for women, in the nominated posts, there is even 50% reservation to women. And not only that, in works contracts and services contracts based on nomination, even here SC, ST, BC minority communities were given 50% reservation, and even the women were also given 50% reservation in the works contracts and the services contracts which are done on nomination basis. So all these measures, they go a long way in reducing the inequalities across the social groups, across men and women, So that's it about SDG 10, Sustainable Development Goal number 10. Let's move to SDG 11. SDG 11, Sustainable Development Goal number 11. Sustainable Development Goal number 11. So Sustainable Development Goal number 11 deals with sustainable cities and communities. Sustainable cities and communities. That is better management of cities in an eco-friendly manner. So as the economic survey points out, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, 56% of households, they had access to drinking water connections. 56% of the households, they had access to drinking water connections. And then door-to-door garbage collection is done for 98% households. Door-to-door garbage collection is done for 98% households. But here, if you see the percentage of treated sewage, after collecting the sewage waste, how much of it is treated? It is just 26%. 26%. So that is more than 74% of the sewage collected is left untreated. That then there is a danger of spreading the infections through contamination. Then if you take the proportion of slum population in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the proportion of slum population, that is out of the total population, for every 100, 38% they live in the slums. This is the highest in the country, which is very unfortunate. The proportion of slum population in the state of Andhra Pradesh is 38%, and this is the highest in the country. And this is something which a government has to take into consideration for addressing the problem. Then, to maintain the community, for the sustainable management of the communities, that is to create gainful employment, the economic survey makes a focus on development of small and medium enterprises, and also industrial areas across the state. So to create gainful employment to the people of the state of Andhra Pradesh, the economic survey speaks about establishment of small and medium enterprises and also industrial areas across the state. That is what is proposed. In addition to this, Government of Andhra Pradesh also had a plan called Critical Infrastructure Investment Plan. Critical Infrastructure Investment Plan. So this is especially for the urban local bodies to ensure basic infrastructure like water, sewerage, stormwater drainage, roads, burial grounds, green space on saturation basis by 2024. So by 2024 in the urban local bodies, all these facilities will be provided on saturation basis in all the urban local bodies under a critical infrastructure investment plan. So that's it about SDG 11, achievement of Sustainable Development Goal number 11. Then SDG 12, Sustainable Development Goal number 12, it deals with the sustainable consumption and the production patterns. Sustainable consumption and production patterns. For example, the economic survey speaks about reducing to the extent of 50% in food wastage at the retail and consumer levels. At the retail level and at the level of consumer, as of now, there is a lot of wastage, and this wastage has to be reduced to 50%. Whatever wastage is happening, in that 50% reduction has to be achieved. In addition to this, the economic survey also speaks about adopting, taking up sustainable public procurement practices. Sustainable public procurement practices. So those public procurement practices which impose less financial burden and which are sustainable in the longer run, such things can be considered. For example, DBT. Instead of the Food Corporation of India procuring the food grains from the surplus states, transporting over long distances, incurring heavy financial burden, then storing them in the godowns and then again distributing them to the deficit states, instead of incurring so much of expenditure for all these, if the money is credited to the accounts of the beneficiaries, they can buy it from the open market, and we can greatly reduce the unnecessary money which is spent on procurement, storage and distribution wherever it is possible. That is the meaning of sustainable public procurement practices. In addition to this, the economic survey also speaks about promoting efficiency in the resource use and also energy use. Resource use and energy use. And in this direction, Andhra Pradesh has brought under micro irrigation 1.95 lakh hectares. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, 1.95 lakh hectares is brought under micro irrigation, which is an efficient agricultural practice. So under micro irrigation, the water usage is much more efficient. And the state of Andhra Pradesh is the third largest state with the area under micro irrigation. So Andhra Pradesh ranks number 3 in the area under micro irrigation. This is one good achievement made by the state of Andhra Pradesh. In addition to this, Government of Andhra Pradesh made a decision to provide 40% financial assistance to set up 1,492 post-harvest infrastructure like integrated pack houses, cold storage houses, ripening chambers. So to the extent of dealing with the 7.22 lakh tons of agricultural produce. So 7.22 lakh tons of agricultural produce. To better manage this agricultural produce, government says 1,492 post-harvest infrastructure facilities will be provided, and here for this infrastructure the government will provide the financial assistance to the extent of 42%. So this is again for a sustainable consumption and production pattern. In addition to this, in every constituency, the present government in the economic survey speaks that there will be cold storage godowns, food processing units will be set up in every constituency. And for sustainable production and consumption patterns, one important initiative taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh is zero budget natural farming. So in the state of Andhra Pradesh, around 5.23 lakh farmers, they were brought under zero budget natural farming. In addition to this, municipal solid waste management, if you take 100%, we are able to collect municipal solid waste from the households. In addition to this, we have in the state of Andhra Pradesh 13,065 Grama Panchayats. In that 13,065 Grama Panchayats, we wanted to replace the incandescent bulbs with 30 lakh LED bulbs. And out of these 30 lakhs, we have already provided 27.11 lakh LED bulbs. This is towards resource efficiency. And in addition to this, the economic survey also speaks about ecotourism, promoting ecotourism. This is not only for generating economic growth but also for job creation. So under this ecotourism, 10 temple eco parks are being planned. 10 temple eco parks are being planned. So that's it about the sustainable development goal number 12. The next one, SDG 3, sustainable development goal number 13. Sustainable development goal number 13. So it deals with taking urgent action to deal with climate change and its impacts. See, because of the emission of greenhouse gases, there is an increase in the average temperature, global average temperatures, that has led to global warming and climate change. Because of global warming and climate change, the monsoon in India has become erratic. There is greater intensity of rainfall, and even the severity of both the drought and floods have increased. So given this context, we have to put in measures to deal with the impacts of climate change. So that's what goal number 13 speaks about. Sustainable development goal number 13 says, building the capacity to deal with the impacts of climate change and global warming. And in addition to this, when public policies are made, climate change impact and disaster management must be kept in mind. This is called mainstreaming. So before any public policy is made, the dimension of disasters and the dimension of climate change shall be kept in mind, and adequately provision shall be made for dealing with the climate change and disaster management within the public policies which are made from time to time. So mainstreaming climate change and disaster management into public policy making as well as planning. Andhra Pradesh being the second state with the longest coastline, so the state of Andhra Pradesh is prone to tropical cyclones and even tsunami. So because of this vulnerability, better levels of preparedness to deal with such disasters is very important. And then if you take the Disaster Management Act 2005, which was enacted by the Indian Parliament, it provides for two categories of funds at all the three levels. At the national level, National Disaster Mitigation Fund, National Disaster Response Fund. So National Disaster Mitigation Fund, it is on prevention and preparedness. Response Fund, it is on giving response to the disasters, rehabilitation, reconstruction and discovery. Similarly, at the state level, we have State Disaster Mitigation Fund, State Disaster Response Fund. At the district level, District Disaster Mitigation Fund, District Disaster Response Fund. So at the national level and in all the states, response funds were created, but not the mitigation fund. NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund, is created, but National Disaster Mitigation Fund is not created so far. And in most of the states, State Disaster Mitigation Fund is not yet created. State Disaster Response Fund is created in all the states, but not the mitigation fund. And even at the district level, in most of the states, district level mitigation and district level District Disaster Mitigation Fund, District Disaster Response Funds were created only in a very few states. So before the enactment of Disaster Management Act 2005, we had two categories of fund at the national level. National Calamity Contingency Fund. The money from this fund is made available to the states where the disaster is beyond the capacity of the state government. So if there is any disaster which is of a very high proportion, which is beyond the coping capacity of the state government, money will be made available to the concerned state under NCCF. So this National Calamity Contingency Fund is now merged with the NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund. So we don't have NCCF now. Similarly, before the enactment of Disaster Management Act 2005, at the state level, the fund is called Calamity Relief Fund. Now we have SDRF at the state level. So Calamity Relief Fund is merged with SDRF. That's it about Sustainable Development Goal number 13. And then goal number 14 and 15, in the economic survey of the state of Andhra Pradesh, the goal is mentioned, but the initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh, they are not mentioned. So just remember what is SDG 14. SDG 14 speaks about conservation and the sustainable use of oceans, seas and marine resources. Conservation and the sustainable use of oceans, seas and marine resources. So we should not exploit the resources in the oceans and seas to an unsustainable level. So in addition to this, it also speaks about significantly reducing marine pollution, especially the oil pollution because of the accidents involving the oil tankers. So SDG 14 also speaks about significantly reducing marine pollution of all categories. That is SDG 14. Then SDG 15, again in the economic survey, there is no mention of the initiatives taken by the government of Andhra Pradesh to achieve SDG 15. There is just the reference and the mention of SDG 15. So Sustainable Development Goal number 15 deals with terrestrial ecosystems. Terrestrial ecosystems, the protection of terrestrial ecosystems, restoration and promotion. Protection, restoration and promotion of sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. In addition to this, it also speaks about forests, sustainable management of forests, and also it deals with the combating desertification. So terrestrial ecosystems, forests, desertification, they are the subject matter of SDG 15. And then if you take SDG 17, it is nothing but global partnership for achieving sustainable development. Global partnership. And then SDG 16. SDG 16 speaks about peace, justice and strong institutions. So it includes within itself even the focus on good governance. Good governance. For example, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, Article 243G speaks about devolving 29 items to the Panchayat Raj institutions. And Article 243W, it speaks about devolving 18 items to the urban local bodies. So the state government of Andhra Pradesh is the first to devolve functionaries to the rural and urban local governments by establishing village and ward secretariats. By establishing village and ward secretariats, the state of Andhra Pradesh has devolved functionaries relating to 29 items in the 11th schedule and 18 items in the 12th schedule under Article 243G and 243W respectively. And even the system of volunteers, village volunteers and ward volunteers, is again one of the initiatives taken for the first time by the government of Andhra Pradesh. So this is as per the mandate of Article 40. Article 40, which is part of Directive Principles of State Policy, speaks about organizing village panchayats. Then 243G, it has created 11th schedule, 29 items for the rural local self-governing institutions. 243W, 12th schedule, 18 items to be developed to the urban local bodies. Then, as a measure of good governance, Andhra Pradesh government has enacted Disha Act, which provides for exclusive special courts, special public prosecutors, completing the investigation and trial within 21 days, so giving penalty for sexual offences against the women and girl children to the maximum extent of death penalty, strengthening forensic facilities for investigating the cases under the Disha Act. All these they come under good governance efforts. In addition to this, if you see the Polavaram project, which was subjected to reverse tendering, because of this reverse tendering, a lot of amount, hundreds of crores of taxpayers' money is saved. So the present government is very much keen on this process of reverse tendering to ensure that the taxpayers' money is spent more efficiently. And apart from this, the present government is also serious about providing a corruption-free governance in the state of Andhra Pradesh. That's about Sustainable Development Goal number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. For example, in the recent past, there was one agency created by the government of a Special Enforcement Bureau. Special Enforcement Bureau, it deals with liquor, illegal production, sale, transport of liquor, and even sand, illegal sale and transport of sand, Special Enforcement Bureau. So this is one recent example to reduce corruption and to improve the governance in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So with this we have covered all the 17 sustainable development goals, what they are, and then most of the sustainable development goals relating to them, what are the key initiatives taken by government of Andhra Pradesh for achieving these most of the sustainable development goals. Then we will discuss the performance of Andhra Pradesh with respect to achieving sustainable development goals. So now in this particular section, we will discuss the performance of Andhra Pradesh with respect to achievement of sustainable development goals. So Niti Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India, has come up with something called Sustainable Development Goals India Index. Sustainable Development Goals India Index, and Niti Aayog has given reports in 2018 and also in 2019. So it is called, the report given in 2019, it is called SDG India Index 2.0. The report which was given by Niti Aayog in 2019, it is called Sustainable Development Goal India Index 2.0. The report given in 2018, it is called SDG India Index 1.0. And if you take the report which was given in 18, in the SDG India Index 1.0, relating to 13 goals, 39 targets, 62 indicators. SDG India Index 1.0, in this particular index, 62 indicators were assessed and they relate to 39 targets and 13 goals. So in the SDG India Index of 1.0, 62 indicators were used across 39 targets and 13 goals. But if you take SDG India Index 2.0, SDG India Index 2.0, Niti Aayog has constructed 100 indicators across 54 targets relating to 13 goals, relating to 13 SDG goals. So if you take the difference between SDG India Index 1.0 and 2.0, in 1.0 the goals are 13, Even in 2.0 the goals are 13, but the targets under 1.0 39 targets, under 2.0 it is 54 targets. Indicators under 1.0 it is 62 indicators, under 2.0 it is 100 indicators. 100 indicators. So in the 2.0 report and as well as in the 1.0 report in 2019 and 18 respectively, these 4 SDGs were left out. Sustainable Development Goal number 12, Goal number 13, Goal number 14 and Goal number 17, they are left out in this SDG India Index. So out of the 17 goals, only 13 goals were taken into consideration while constructing the SDG India Index 2.0 as well as 2.1. Then, if you take the performance of India in 2008, in 2018, the overall rank of Andhra Pradesh was 4th, and it got 3rd rank in 2019. So in 2019, Kerala with a score of 70 became the top performer, followed by Himachal Pradesh with the score 69 and Andhra Pradesh with the score 67. And then let's move to the criteria adopted for categorization of states. So those states which got a score of 100, they are called achievers. Those states which have got a score of 100, they are called achievers. So if they get the score between 65 to 99, they are called front runners. 50 to 64 score, they are called performers. 0 to 49, they are called aspirants. So out of 13 SDG goals which are included in the SDG India Index of 2019, excepting 4, 5 and 11, with the exception of SDG 4, 5 and 11, in the remaining 30 SDG goals, performance of Andhra Pradesh is better than all India performance. SDG 4, 5 and 11, performance of Andhra Pradesh less than all India average. Then in addition to this, if you see SDG 16, so let us see the performance of the state of Andhra Pradesh by taking each SDG goal. If you take Sustainable Development Goal number 16, it deals with the peace, justice and strong institutions. AP is the front runner state. AP got rank 1. AP got rank 1 with respect to implementing SDG 16. And AP was followed by Gujarat. Gujarat got the 2nd rank. So with respect to implementation of SDG 16, Andhra Pradesh got 1st rank. The score is 86. AP is followed by Gujarat. Gujarat is the 2nd state. Then when it comes to SDG 6, Sustainable Development Goal number 6, clean water and sanitation, again Andhra Pradesh got the 1st rank. Then if you take SDG 3, Sustainable Development Goal number 3, it deals with healthy lives for all and well-being at all ages. So with respect to SDG 3, rank of Andhra Pradesh is 2nd rank. Andhra Pradesh got a 2nd rank. The score is 76. So with respect to SDG 3, the 1st rank goes to Kerala with the score of 82. But if you see in 2018, with respect to SDG 3, AP got 6th rank. But in 2019, it got the 2nd rank. Then if you take SDG 8, Sustainable Development Goal number 8, again with respect to SDG 8, AP got a 2nd rank with the score of 78 points. And then with respect to SDG 13 as well, again AP got the 2nd rank with a score of 70 points. And here with respect to SDG 13, Karnataka got the 1st rank with a score of 71. And with respect to SDG 14, which deals with the marine ecosystem, that is oceans and seas, sustainable use of marine ecosystem. Among the coastal states, Andhra Pradesh got second rank. The score is 61. Among the coastal states, Karnataka got the first rank with a score of 65. And then with respect to SDG 1, elimination of poverty in all its forms, Andhra Pradesh got a third rank. This is in 2019. Andhra Pradesh got third rank with a score of 69 points. And Tamil Nadu got the first rank with a score of 72 points. Tripura got the second rank with a score of 70 points. Then when it comes to SDG 7, Sustainable Development Goal number 7, that is clean energy and modern energy, Andhra Pradesh got 6th rank with 86 points. Then with respect to SDG 9, industry, infrastructure and innovation, Andhra Pradesh got 9th rank with a score of 66 points. And with respect to SDG 9, in 2018, the rank of Andhra Pradesh is 20. It improved to 9 in 2019. Then the socio-economic survey report also says that Andhra Pradesh is the state which has witnessed the highest reduction in the use of nitrogen fertilizers. And it is because of this, with respect to SDG 9, the rank of AP jumped from 20 to 9 between 2018 and 9. And then what are the areas where the state is underperforming? It is with respect to zero hunger, quality education, gender equality and urban slums. These are the areas where Andhra Pradesh had to improve its performance. See, if you see the composite score with respect to SDG India Index 2019, Sustainable Development Goal India Index 2019, that is 2.0. In the year 2018, that is SDG India Index 1.0, as per that the composite score of the state of Andhra Pradesh is 64. And by 2019, the composite score of Andhra Pradesh as per SDG India Index 2.0, it increased to 67. The composite score of Andhra Pradesh under SDG India Index increased from 64 to 67 between 2018 and 2019. Similarly, if you take India at the global level, in the global rankings, the composite score of India in 2018 is 57 in the global rankings, and in 2019 that has increased to 60. So the composite score of Andhra Pradesh, the composite score of India, the composite score of Andhra Pradesh increased from 64 to 67 between 2018 and 2019. Similarly, the composite score of India increased from 57 in 2018 to 60 in 2019 at the global level, in the global rankings. So that's it about Sustainable Development Goals, Adoption and Achievement in Andhra Pradesh. Sustainable Development Goals, Adoption and Achievement and achievements in Andhra Pradesh. Thank you.